All right, anatomy people, we're here to continue our course, our discussion. It's been a little while since I've lectured, so ready to get into it today. We're going to continue from the chapter of blood. We go now to the heart, right? And we lecture them in one, a second, a third, but actually all of these three are integrated. It's like a trinity of topics, of chapters, right? So they're all integrated together. So if we can kind of approach it in that light, this cardiovascular system makes sense. So cardiovascular comprised of the blood, which we should be familiar with, experts on already, and the heart and the blood vessels. So the fluid, the pump, and the tubes. So this is the sort of that, again, that trilogy, that trinity of the cardiovascular system: blood, heart, and blood vessels. So before we really get into all of the details, the functionality of the heart, you have to go back and become very familiarized, refresh your memory on actual cardiac muscle cells, right? So we're talking about a muscle, we're talking about an organ, but organs are made of tissues, tissues are made up of cells. So this is what we call myocardium, the muscle of the heart, is going to be basically these cardiac cells. And you covered this in 2401. I uploaded a video of Khan Academy. I really like Khan Academy, all the little details and the drawing he does. I wish I could be that good with these drawing pins and stuff, but he's an expert, so I refer you to that video there to refresh your memory on cardiac cells. So once you do that, this should make more sense, right? The myocardium, not reliant on nerve stimulation for contraction. So this is a big difference. All of your voluntary skeletal muscle, there has to be sort of that nervous communication, nervous system communication to allow for then the contraction of that skeletal muscle. Not the case for cardiac. Cardiac cells can initiate their own depolarization. Ooh, and there's a word that should mean something to you. Again, a lot of you forgot all of the sort of the electrochemistry of these cells. So again, something that we'll review a little bit, but I hope you can kind of go back and remember that, refresh your memory with the Khan Academy video. So if a cell can initiate its own depolarization, we say it is autorhythmic. It can generate its own rhythmic contractions, right? So it can still be influenced by the nervous system. We're going to talk about sympathetic, parasympathetic innervation. If you're very excited, you're very worried, you're very scared, all of these can have an impact on the rhythm of the heart. Although the heart doesn't require the nervous system to generate its own beat, it can be influenced by the nervous system, right? So important, right? Influenced, but not controlled. So big difference there. Again, I'll let the video really address all of this, but this is the microscopic anatomy of the actual cardiac cells, right? So they're striated, short, fat, and branched. You need to know what the intercalated discs are and what their significance is for contraction. In the intercalated disc, we have the gap junctions, 1306 stuff, way back. Gap junctions are basically communication junctions, little pores, little holes that allow movement of ions, movement of cytoplasm from cell to cell. So they electrically couple the cells that are connected together. And by doing so, they form what we call a functional syncytium. So instead of two cells acting independently, these two cells will function as a single unit, right? That's what syncytium means, like a team. So a very high degree of teamwork and synchronization because of this syncytial functionality generated by the gap junctions. T-tubules, I hope you remember what those are from last semester. They're different anatomically and physiologically. They're different in the cardiac cells. The sarcoplasmic reticulum, different than in skeletal muscles. So again, go back and review all that stuff. If you are going to be a cell that works and works and works and works all day, every day, without a break, you have to have internal modifications for that purpose. So we have large number of mitochondria in each of these cells. Mitochondria, if you remember, are the organelles that generate ATP, which keep this thing beating, all the time. So very important. Just some pictures here, talking about, again, the T tubule, the mitochondria, all of the intercalated discs. Here we have nucleus, mitochondria, intercalated discs. On the intercalated disc, we have the gap junctions. So all of those there. Something else that's unique about the heart collectively, and we're going to get into a lot more detail, but I'm just kind of giving you a big overview right now. The heart cell is not picky, right? The heart cell can metabolize any type of nutrition, right? Let me get my little dogs here, Just go there. So the heart cell can basically use any type of fuel source that is available, right? So carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, even lactic acid, right? Lactic acid, which we view as something maybe not good when we're exercising, something painful, but lactic acid is a very important, high energy type of substance for heart cells. So these cardiac cells can metabolize lactic acid. So they're not picky. They consume whatever fuel source is available. However, a big however, they cannot incur an oxygen debt. So most of the other body cells can go a little bit of time without oxygen. They shift into the fermentative state, generating the lactic acid itself, but not heart cells. Heart cells can metabolize lactic acid, but they can't be subjected to an anaerobic situation, which would therefore produce lactic acid, if that makes sense. So the moral of the story, your heart needs oxygen at all times. Bad things happen if your heart cells are deprived of oxygen for even little bits of time, right? So again, we need to have a constant supply of oxygen, and the heart will accomplish this by its own sort of circulatory process. Coronary circulation we'll talk about, and again, linking up with the blood, with the lungs. So very highly integrated type of system there. So we're going to get into heart anatomy, a lot of detail that's going to follow. And let me stop this video now, and then I'll start up with that next one here.